Hello, everyone. Hello from my side, from SDA Bocconi in Milano, and hello from this really insightful session with our Career Development Center dedicated to our MSM program. So welcome to all of you connected. Welcome back to all of you who joined us for our sessions today. We had a very long day here with activities dedicated to our potential future students, right, of our program, to just give you a glimpse into what MSM looks like and, of course, what kind of experience you can expect. Right now, into this panel, you are going to deep dive into our CDC, and not only, I would say, but also into what you can expect in terms of career growth, in terms of the sustainability market, I would say, right, after the program, and more in general, worldwide speaking, with two different points of view. The first one is going to be, of course, from our program director, Professor Matteo Di Castelnuovo. Hello, Matteo, and welcome again.
Hello again.
And then the second standpoint is going to be from my colleague, Victoria Galizzi, who is our MSM career advisor. Thank you, Victoria, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So I would say let's deep dive into this panel. I just wanted to remind all of you connected from any part of the world that you have a live chat. So just like before in the session that we had, please use that for any questions that just come up. And then I will see them actually right here as soon as you type them, and I will ask them to our, of course, guests today. And for all of you here on campus, we're going to have, again, a session, a Q&A session just after this presentation. Let's go to the first question that is for Matteo. So you've been leading, Matteo, the sustainability education journey here at SDA Bocconi for many years, right?
Indeed.
So how has the field evolved and how has our program grown to match those global shifts?
Oh, it has evolved a lot. In a way, you could argue it has been from nice to have to must have, okay? Because it's a matter of not complying, but also embracing sustainability. It's not just a matter of compliance. So if you want the regulation or legal compliance, no, it's a matter of competition. So becoming more competitive, because there's a way to embrace sustainability and reducing your cost, because often what the customers want. So it's competition, but it's also resilience. Give an example, decarbonizing. The moment you decarbonize, you sort of disconnect yourself from the geopolitical angle, and we know way too well, unfortunately, what geopolitics can do also to the business. And so it has evolved in that respect, so becoming much more of a pillar of the strategy of any company, let alone governments, if I may. In terms of the program, well, that's the nice thing, I have to say, of working in a business school. The business school, by definition, or as we mentioned in the previous session, it has to work close to the business community. That allows us the privileged perspective to what the business needs, also keeping an eye on the policy, okay? And so by having this privileged perspective, we are better able to intercept the changes in terms of the skills which are required, therefore to make sure that we can adapt our program to actually what we think is going to be needed in the job market. And so it has evolved in that respect. And for instance, that's why we have introduced, just to give you a quick example, one of the 3 tracks is called Sustainable Value Creation, which is what we noticed that actually how much finance was changing. Finance was actually trying to come to terms with this new era, which is ESG finance, but at the same time, finance finding it the way to extract values, as we mentioned before, from new activities, new investments. So that's a good example of what it means the program has to adapt to those kind of things. Another example is that actually, if you asked me 5-10 years ago how to design a program which had to deal with energy, I would have said, okay, we would deal with energy markets, gas and power, maybe hydrogen. Nowadays, if you're dealing with energy, you also have to look at mobility. You also have to understand how the automotive industry works, how when you go from a mine to the battery goes into the electric vehicles. And that's how our program has evolved, to try to intercept also this kind of technological evolution, basically, of the last few years.
Absolutely. The evolution is really the right word. And also when we talk about, how MSM has evolved, also in terms of content, in terms of approach, in terms of guest speakers, but also I must say in terms of candidates, right? So a candidate that is applying to the program now might be different and might have different needs compared to someone applying, some years ago. And speaking about candidates, or actually speaking about students, a question to Victoria. Could you tell us a bit more about, first of all, the department that you come from, of course, our Career Development Center, and how, what kind of activities, right, you prepare for our students?
Of course. So firstly, I am extremely happy that a Career Development Center can be a part of a master in sustainability. On the other side, career development is a subject on its own that I think has to be included in the curriculum. But at the moment, we give the support that we absolutely can and love to provide to our students. During Master in Sustainability, every student have an opportunity to have a one-to-one dedicated time with me in order to set the goals and really understand where they're taking their career, what would they like to do after the master, and kind of which direction they'd like to go afterwards. This is one part. These are so-called strategy sessions, which help students to really take time and reflect what they would like to achieve, not only throughout the master, but in generally in their career. And of course, there are a variety of workshops and seminars that are designed to support students throughout their job search, application process, and of course, landing a career that is really meaningful and impactful and is what they would like to be doing.
Exactly, and you mentioned this. I was smiling because we had the previous session with 2 alumni, right? And there's a lot of alumni connected to this program and to, of course, Bocconi in general. We were discussing before the alumni clubhouse here and the huge community all over the world with the Bocconi alumni community. And of course, the expectation or simply the desire, right, towards a career within sustainability is really big. And we can see now, of course, what happened to the previous graduates, I would say. Yeah. And Matteo knows them very, very well since he's been the director for quite some time now. So my question to you, Matteo, would be, based on this kind of relationship, can you tell us a bit more about the career paths that our graduates usually follow, and also maybe some examples, right? Because this is a question that comes up really often from our candidates.
That's understandable, because sustainability is such a broad term, so it's difficult sometimes to visualize where that could lead you. I have to say, Valentina, this is one of the most exciting parts of my job, to observe, because you see them, they come, they don't know what to do, then they do this very intense period, and suddenly their career started to shape itself. So it's really exciting. So it's exciting for me to see that when they come back to me, I made it, I got this, not as a surprise, it's actually a process, not just really happen randomly, but it's really nice when you do our job to see actually they managed to find the job with a purpose. That's the first thing. And also how the career then is able to evolve. And to my understanding, my experience, that actually they were all able, all my former students, to maintain sustainability as part of the common theme throughout their career, might change in sectors or industries and etc. And so I've seen them in a way, their career changing in terms of how the world has changed, okay? And so certainly from day one, many of them ended up working in consultancy. And the consultants are still recruiting extensively from this kind of programs. Sometimes it's because companies, non-consultants basically, is because they'd rather outsource this kind of jobs rather than recruiting people with the skills, and so they recruit the consultants. Whereby consultants is a very generic term. I mean the big four, okay? For instance, working in advisory, sustainability reporting, that's ones. Or increasingly, we see also the more strategic consultancy, so the very well-known brands. That's why, for instance, in our master, we had a workshop on decarbonization strategies with one of that particular strategic consultancy. And then you have a whole world of more medium to small, we call it specialized consultancy. It could be a consultant which is specialized on life cycle analysis, environmental side of it, or energy market. So overall, consultancy is always a massive recruiter, but obviously then it's I would say it's different sector. Certainly from day one, everything we do with energy has always recruited from this master. Okay, everything you have to do energy and some kind of economics and finance, you will always find basically a place, an opportunity for a graduate from our program. That's been the case from companies all over the world. But increasingly, what we have seen, and you saw a testimony also from one of the alumni, Daniela, you have companies, again, from every sector, every country, recruiting people with this kind of skill set. So whether it's a multinational company, more a technological company, automotive, they are increasingly recruiting these people. In time, what we see is also that we start to see also some significant interest from the whole financial community. So people who have the skills to understand things such as green bonds, ESG finance.
And also, I must say, there is an increasing demand from our candidates, what I feel, of entrepreneurial type of projects, right? And you see the same in many alumni, that spirit, right, towards entrepreneurship.
That spirit. And it comes with the territory in a way, because actually sustainability, it's about facing difficulty, enormous barriers. Sometimes the biggest barriers are inside the organization, okay, because you need to convince the board. But that's the sensible thing to do. That's the most, from an economic perspective, let alone environment, okay? And so I think that actually, among all the things that actually you need to be resilient, Daniela said earlier, you need to be focused, you need to be driven, and sometimes this kind of feeling the fact that actually you have to overcome the obstacle, you have to overcome people's mentality in a way, but again, with the ultimate goal of improving profitability to some extent, okay, to make it at least more resilient. These kind of things usually sometimes in some of the students sort of triggers this desire, oh, I know, that's a problem, I can try to fix that, so I can start my own company. It does happen, I would say.
Absolutely. Thank you. To go back to what you mentioned before, Victoria, about the activities, right, that you prepare and that you do with our students. Can you share a bit more details about that? Because I think, and I'm sure everyone's super interested, and also how this type of approach, how you think that can really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I go into the question, I want to add something there to what Matteo was saying about consulting, because being a consulting sector advisor as well as sustainability, I see a lot the trends, especially lately, that consulting is becoming much more specialized. Yeah. So when companies come to recruit, they would prefer recruiting through specialized masters, because that gives them the depth and knowledge that general consultancies don't usually have. So if you're thinking of doing consulting and sustainability, master in sustainability is exactly what you need in order to be able to then make the switch. Yeah. So absolutely
right.
So going back to the activities, what we're doing and how the approach helps. So we start with CV reviews and cover letter reviews to make sure that students are ready to apply for any roles that they see and anything that they like. But in between the CV reviews, as I mentioned before, we do the career strategy. So a session where they have a time to think and reflect and think about what's the next step could be after the Masters in Sustainability. We also do a little bit of analysis of their profiles. So what kind of experience are they bringing to MSM that they can capitalize on to make their longer term goal more sustainable also, but to choose the right next step for them. Besides the one-to-one sessions, I run different workshops with the students. So we start CV and cover letter writing workshop. We start a job search workshop, and also behavioral interview preparation, where the students can get the basis of how to prepare for the interviews, how to write their CVs, cover letters, as I mentioned before, how to look for the companies, what kind of research to do. So we really try and support students from the very, very beginning in everything related to job search, starting from applications to choosing the companies and then applying interviews and so on. And then we help them with the offer negotiations if that's something that they also need support with. I think because we are so lucky as a school because we're very specific in a way that we're small. And that allows us to give a really personalized approach and support to the students. And the combination between the seminars and the workshop that are happening in class and plenaria with then one-on-one support when students know that if they have any questions at all, they can always reach out to someone and there is someone there to help, to guide them and to support them, I think gives always the best results.
Absolutely, and also taking from what you said and also from the previous conversation we had with the alumni, the exposure is really the key. So being proactive, first of all, during these sessions and just grasping, of course, all of the details, but on the other hand, also really exposing yourself during all of the projects, all of the activities, and I actually have a question for you related to the activities, is also quite important. And as we said before, a classroom of 30 to 40 students allows that, right, compared to a bigger type of environment. Regarding actually the focus somehow on the future, let's say, on the next years, I would say, I have a question for you, Matteo. How do you see the global demand for sustainability professionals changing in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? It's a tough question, but I'd like to hear your insights into this. And also, what kind of skill set, what kind of mindset do you think future leaders in the space need to have?
First thing first, bad news, because the world, as we know, is not getting any better, also when it comes to sustainability. So I expect demand for sustainability professionals, if anything, you may think otherwise right now, because you're thinking the world does have other priorities. It might, but the thing is that in terms of, we work with data in science, okay, and the data is pretty clear. The situation is not getting any better, quite contrary. There's a massive gap between what we should be doing to protect not just the environment, but in general society, and what we actually, this massive gap is not shrinking, or at least not shrinking fast enough. The implication for what we are doing is that actually there will be an increasing demand from this kind of professionals, okay? Because you may neglect certain priorities, start from climate change, but the climate change is not stay put, it's getting worse, okay? So we will have to accelerate, if anything. This implies thousands and thousands of people of jobs have the right competence. As she was saying, consultant require people with the kind of, you can't really wait for somebody to train. It has to be able to understand it. So that's in terms of global demand for sustainable profession. I see this demand growing, even though, again, right now you may think otherwise because of what has actually happened. But things at times, you have to catch up with reality. And secondly, in terms of what actually the kind of skill set, well, we know that we have this idea when we design this Master in Sustainability Management that this is in a way, that's our kind of, shall we call it vision, how we think the future managers will look like, okay? So it will be somebody who, with a purpose, okay? Somebody who may not necessarily lead the sustainability practice within the organization, but by all means will know about carbon footprint, will know about green technologies, and above all, will know everything about what climate change is causing or biodiversity. So it will be a leader which will actually, or a senior manager who will know about these things, even though they will be in charge of finance, okay? So that's how we sort of design this program, having in mind the future managers, okay? Somebody who will run the company or run the project, but will know a great deal. It will be like basic knowledge. It's like somebody still writing, oh, I know about Outlook. Of course you know Outlook, okay? But you have to know, then move from that. So that's kind of skill set. And in general, the other thing is that actually the whole sustainability area, if anything, is getting more complex, okay? In terms of geography, in terms of regulation, in terms of technological challenges, okay? We are accelerating. We already see the impact of AI in that respect. And so somebody who will be a sustainability professional will have to be able to better understand this complexity, better than others who are not involved in sustainability.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this, because we always get questions, right, about the future and what you can expect. But I think it's really important to know exactly the vision that's behind the program, because indeed, when you have to make that decision, make that step, you also need to consider, of course, the type of desires, right, and professional views that you have. Exactly about this, we mentioned before the activities that you might be involved in, and that you will be involved in during the program. So my question to Victoria is, if you can share with us a bit more about that, because there are, of course, many different opportunities for students to, let's say, keep up to date with the sector here. Can you mention some of them?
Yeah, of course, there are so many. There is plenty of events and activities that are organized for the MSM students throughout the program, but also through the school, because sustainability, of course, is at the core of SDA Bocconi and what we do. There are a variety of conferences, events, speakers that are being invited by the school. But the other thing that SDA Bocconi is very strong at are the students' clubs. They are separated by the sector, so we have consulting club, we have finance club, and of course there is energy and sustainability club. The clubs are run by the MBAs, but they are open to participation to absolutely everyone. All the MSM students are more than welcome to, and I strongly recommend to participate in any of the events that Sustainability Club organizes, with their flagship events of the Sustainability Forum that is happening in spring. It gives an amazing opportunity not only to see different companies, but also to network and start forming those valuable connections that then will help the students to go ahead and develop their career further. I would just say that in any events that you participate, please take an opportunity and really put yourself out there and take those opportunities and talk to people, ask the questions, but also show a little bit about who you are, what would you like to do, because you never know who you meet, at what time you meet, and you never know what those opportunities can really bring for your career.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and I see that with the current students when they tell us about the activities and about, it's and we were saying that before as well, it's an intense year, but of course when you mix lessons, projects, field projects, research projects, clubs, and then some fun activities as well, that makes the whole week, but still they are all absolutely relevant. And it's also, I must say, a really nice opportunity to get to know students from other programs as well. Victoria mentioned the MBA, then of course all the other programs here. It's a huge exposure also in that sense, and that brings a lot of enrichment for sure. Maybe about this word, enrichment. Yeah. What do you think, Matteo, could be just a short description of the SDA Bocconi's right approach to sustainability? And just because, of course, we talked about purpose, we talked about resilience before, and so of course the global view on sustainability is key. So how do you see that is implemented into what we do?
Yeah. Well, allow me to repeat myself. So I stress the fact that actually we could do certain things because we are in this particular business school. Let me give an example of what I mean. So SDA Bocconi, when they decided to do a master in general to ramp up its activities on sustainability, they did it the right way by first acquiring, so to say, people with that kind of skill. Because in sustainability, sometimes that's the case, that you're doing one job one day and the next day, oh, you're in charge of sustainability. No, it's a green paint. No, you paint the green, something like that. No, that's not what we did. And indeed, if you look at the faculties, you will see that most of them are people who have been working on sustainability for over 20 years. What SDA Bocconi did is to ask them, like myself, who was working in university, asked me, will you come over to the business school and help me out on this one? And that's what myself and other colleagues did. So we joined the business. So people who have been working, teaching, researching sustainability for decades, literally. And so we can do that, and we think we're able to bring what is at the frontier out there, because that's what we do for a living. We didn't start doing this the day before yesterday. Secondly, again, because we work at the business school, once again, we have the privileged sort of relationship, maybe it's not relationship, but we have the opportunity to work close with the business community. That allows us, once again, to understand what is happening. So that, I think, makes it, and so we were also able to condense the best of what we have in our portfolio skills in terms of finance, management, economics, and condense that into one single program. So competence in a way, also in terms of the portfolio, and by be able to design something which we believe is close to what the job market requires and the business community in general.
Thank you. Thank you. This is absolutely relevant. And when I think about our current students, I see really, when you mentioned those words, and you mentioned also the relevance, right, of the content and of the faculty and of the research, I see, and I remember all the comments that I hear every day from them. And that makes me think about what they had shared when we had the first meetings, before the enrollment, right? And the reasons why they were, at that moment, they decided to apply to this program specifically, and they decided to make that jump, I would say. And this, I must say, and I'm asking you, Victoria, I think this has been and is not right now reflected into the way in which they take the program, into which, of course, they interact with us. I think you will agree with me that all the values that they showed us at the very beginning of the process are absolutely reflected in the way they now approach all of the activities of the program. Maybe can you tell us a bit more from your perspective, right, how these students are now, what kind of energy, I would say, and what kind of commitment they are showing?
It's a very interesting question, because I think it's very, very different. Also because I follow MBA students. The master's students are very different, but master in sustainability students, their profiles and what they're looking for is very different yet again. What we have noticed also through the recruitment and admissions process that we chatted about the other day is that students who come here to do this master in sustainability, they really have a different view of the world, but they also have a bigger vision, but not only for their careers, but also for what they want to do and accomplish in this world. What I also see is a bigger alignment with their values and doing the work that is purposeful, that is meaningful, and a bigger desire to make an impact and really make a change in this world for the better. For example, we have a few students who have their own businesses already and who came to do this master here to then take all the knowledge that they receive throughout this master and then implement it into their business, not only to run then sustainable business, but also, again, make a change for the better in this world. And truly, I see so many more students aligned with their values, with their purposes, with a bigger mission, and that's truly heartwarming.
For sure, and this is really, I must say, reflected in the very early process. I'll give you maybe two other examples of what happened to me, or when I have these very nice meetings with all of you. One of them was with a candidate last year who was spending his vacation days, using actually his vacation days and some volunteering days that his company gave him in the south of Brazil to really just understand it, like in this very, very small village, to understand how to live in a very sustainable way, like 100%. And at that point, we had the call, right, when he was there, and he told me, Valentina, I now feel I understood something more, but I still am missing the academic knowledge, all of the strategic and business view on this to be able to actually make an impact, right? So I need that side. So I'm coming there, I really want to be there to learn that and then transfer that to back to my company when I am back after the program. And he's here and he's enjoying the program so much. And the other example was from a student who told me about how her country was somehow had the huge potential and has the huge potential of really improving from the sustainability standpoint, but it's not there yet. And she was telling me how much she would like to contribute to that growth and to that change in vision, in impact, in approach. And then at that point she said, I need that knowledge because I want to go back there and I want my country really to make that type of step and make that type of contribution. And these are just two examples, but I think these really show what kind of values are in the students that join this program and that are really, really reflected into, you know, the whole approach. Maybe we can and my set of questions with a question to you, Victoria. If you can give our candidates and our future students a piece of advice, something that you think from your very respectable position that might help them.
My advice would be it's not something that would help them probably, but more to open up their minds, let's say. It's probably, if you do decide to come here to SDA Bocconi to do Master in Sustainability, come with open minds. Come to learn about sustainability, about the developments, but also enjoy the time, enjoy this beautiful campus that is sustainability in itself. Enjoy the opportunities, but also take all the opportunities and research that the program and the school provides you and take the most out of it.
Absolutely. Matteo, would you like to add something? I see here that we had some questions which have been already answered actually with what we were discussing. There was one related to entrepreneurship, but we tackled that, that topic. And I don't see any further questions, and now we'll then dedicate some more time to our students on campus here. But if you want to add something.
If I may, I would like to stress that the point that Victoria made, it when you come here, make the most of it. There's a good reason for that. It's about just also the social side of it, but also it's about one of the things I like the most in my job is that actually doing this job is that the world comes to you. Okay, so you don't, yeah, of course it's doesn't mean you don't have to travel, but I say our current class, MSM, is 90% of non-Italian people, okay? You hear different stories, you hear from Daniela from Colombia, and so that makes the whole experience so enriching and really stimulating. But it also means that actually you have from people from all over the world, you have events, you have accelerator, you have startups, there are so many things within the same very sustainable campus. And so by coming here, you'll be missing out. So you have to come with an open mind to know that it's not just about the activities that you're going to have in class, but there are so much more than that. If anything, also because during many sort of interviews I had with previous candidates, many of them from outside Europe, they said what actually you were saying before, actually, you know what, I'm coming to Europe because I see Europe as a leader in sustainability, and with all these flaws, Europe is certainly sort of set the boundaries, okay, policies and regulation and the like, and so it only makes sense. And I said, because then I want to go back to my country and make things, so give back, okay, and I think that's absolutely, I mean, positive and so really nice to hear this kind of thing. So come in here, make the most of it, okay, and then come back and build your career.
And share the knowledge.
And share with the rest of the world.
Absolutely. So just thank you from my side really so much. I'm sure this has been incredibly helpful to just get a closer look on the program, on the possibilities, but also on the future, right? Because if you're taking this step, is of course a step for your future. And I always say it's a life decision. It's not only about, you know, a program, it's about really your personal and professional life. So should you have any further questions, something that you'd like to tackle, maybe on an individual basis, a one-to-one basis, feel free to reach out, of course. We're always here. We're happy to help. And also maybe welcome you on campus whenever you're here, if you can, because I think it's a really splendid idea. And I was discussing this today with our candidates here on campus, that breathing somehow, you know, the air here is is super important. You really get a feeling of what it might be for you to attend the program. So for any interest in that sense, just feel free to contact us. And then I will say again, thank you from my side. Have a great rest of your day and your week, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.